Marcus Henderson had been staring at his phone for 10 minutes before he finally hit call. It was his mother, Linda, who picked up on the second ring, the way she always did when she was expecting something. "So," she said, skipping the hello entirely, "are you bringing her?" Marcus took a slow breath. He'd rehearsed this. He'd told himself he was going to be calm, measured, adult about it. "Her name is Valentina, Mom, and yes, she's my girlfriend. So yes, I'd like to bring her to the 4th of July cookout like I do every year." The pause on the other end was long enough to make his stomach turn. "Marcus, you know we love you, but the 4th is a family thing. It's always been a family thing. Your Aunt Carol is already bringing her new husband, and you know how Uncle Darnell gets when there's too many new faces." "Uncle Darnell has met Valentina 3 times, Mom." "He doesn't remember that, because he doesn't want to." Marcus stood up from his couch, too restless to sit still. "Just say what you mean. You don't want her there because she's Colombian, because she's an immigrant. Just say it." Another pause, shorter this time, more deliberate. "I'm saying it's a family event, Marcus, and she's not family." The line went quiet between them. Not the comfortable quiet of people who know each other well, but the sharp, heavy quiet of a line being drawn. "Okay," Marcus said finally, "then I'm not coming either." He hung up before she could answer. He didn't tell Valentina right away. She was in the kitchen of their shared apartment when he came back inside, standing at the counter with her reading glasses on, annotating something in the margin of a thick technical binder. She did that on Saturday mornings, spread her work across the kitchen table like a second office, coffee going cold beside her, completely absorbed. She looked up when he walked in, and she must have read something in his face because she pulled her glasses off slowly. "What happened?" "My family's cookout," he said. "They don't want you there." She was quiet for a moment. Not hurt, or at least not visibly. Valentina had a way of receiving bad news like she was filing it away somewhere, processing it in private. It was one of the things that had drawn him to her in the first place, the stillness. "Okay," she said. "I told them we're not going." She tilted her head. "Marcus." "No, I'm not showing up somewhere my girlfriend isn't welcome. That's not negotiable." She looked at him for a long moment, then nodded once, slowly, the way she did when she'd decided something. "Then we'll have our own." What started as a quiet plan between two people turned into something neither of them had expected. Valentina texted 3 friends. Marcus texted 4. Someone posted it in the building's community group chat, and suddenly neighbors were asking if they could bring potato salad. A guy from Marcus's job showed up with a speaker and a cooler full of drinks. The couple from the 3rd floor brought their kids. By noon on the 4th of July, Marcus and Valentina's rooftop had 32 people on it. Valentina cooked for most of the morning. Bandeja paisa that she'd been preparing since Thursday, her grandmother's recipe. White rice, red beans slow-cooked until they were silky, crispy chicharrón, sweet plantains, a fried egg, chorizo, and a small cup of hogao on the side. She made arepas by hand, pressing each one flat between her palms the way her mother had shown her. There was a fruit spread, mango, papaya, guanabana, cut into wedges and laid out on a long tray. "You didn't have to do all of this," Marcus said, standing in the kitchen doorway, watching her. "I know," she said. "I wanted to." Someone filmed it. The spread, the rooftop view, the mix of people, Valentina laughing at something the 3rd-floor couple's daughter said, Marcus with a paper plate that was dangerously overloaded. It made it into the neighborhood Facebook group by 2 in the afternoon, and by evening people were commenting asking if Valentina did catering. 20 blocks away, the Henderson family cookout was quieter than usual. Nobody said anything about it. Nobody had to. Marcus's Uncle Darnell was the first one to bring it up. They were sitting in fold-out chairs in his parents' backyard, the last of the potato chips going stale in the bowl, the fireworks starting to crack and bloom in the distance, when Darnell pulled out his phone and started scrolling. "Boy," he said, to nobody in particular, "somebody threw a spread today." Linda Henderson set down her iced tea and leaned over to look. The neighborhood Facebook post had by then been shared 47 times. "Is that Marcus's rooftop?" said Aunt Carol, craning her neck. "And his girlfriend," someone else said. The table went quiet in a specific, pointed way. Nobody said anything cruel, nobody said anything at all, but the absence was felt. Marcus's empty chair, the usual energy that he brought, the way the cookout had felt slightly flat all afternoon, and nobody had acknowledged why. Linda scrolled through the comments. People she knew, neighbors, people from the church, people from the block association, were writing things like, "Tell her I'll pay for this," and "This needs to be a restaurant," and "Who is this woman?" She put her phone face down on the table. Uncle Darnell ate another chip. "I'm just saying," he said, "that looks better than what we had today." Nobody argued. Here is where the story takes its turn. Marcus's uncle Darnell, full name Darnell R. Henderson, was the founder and principal of Henderson Structural Solutions, a mid-sized civil engineering and construction consulting firm that had been operating in the city for 11 years. He'd built it from the ground up, and he was proud of it, rightly so. He was also, as of that spring, in the middle of the most significant contract bid of his career. The City Urban Infrastructure Development Project was a $40 million public works initiative, a redesign of a series of aging bridges and overpasses in the city's south corridor. The kind of contract that didn't come along twice. The kind that, if you won it, changed the size and shape of your company permanently. There were 3 firms in serious contention. Darnell's was one of them. The lead evaluator on the city's selection committee was a woman named Patricia Osei, methodical and well-regarded, with a reputation for rigor and zero tolerance for anything that felt like padding. Her committee had been reviewing proposals for 6 weeks. The other 2 competing firms were well-funded. One of them had recently brought on a highly credentialed specialist, a civil engineer with a specific rare expertise that Darnell's team was lacking. He'd been trying to find someone comparable for months. His project manager had sent out a dozen feelers. Nothing had come through. He needed someone who understood modern bridge load analysis, who had worked on infrastructure projects in challenging geographic and climatic conditions, and who could speak to it directly in front of an evaluation panel. What Darnell did not know, what none of the Henderson family knew because none of them had thought to ask, was that Valentina Restrepo held a master's degree in structural and civil engineering from Universidad de los Andes in Bogotá, one of the top engineering universities in Latin America, that she had spent 6 years working on infrastructure rehabilitation projects in Colombia, including 2 major bridge reconstruction projects in mountain corridor regions, that she had emigrated to the United States 4 years ago, completed her credentials equivalency process, passed her PE licensure exam on the first attempt, and was currently a senior project engineer at a firm 2 miles from where she and Marcus lived. Her specialty was exactly what Darnell needed. The call came on a Wednesday. Marcus was at work when his phone buzzed, a text from his uncle, which was unusual. Darnell was not a texter. He was a call and talk for 45 minutes kind of man. "Hey, call me when you get a chance." Marcus stared at it, called his uncle at lunch. "I'm going to skip over the pleasantries," Darnell said, which was also unusual, "and just get to it. I need a structural engineer with international infrastructure experience for a city contract presentation, someone who's done load-bearing bridge work in variable terrain. My project manager found Valentina's name through the state PE registry and cross-referenced it with published project reports. Son." A pause. "She has the exact credentials I've been looking for 4 months." Marcus said nothing. "I know," Darnell said. "I know how that sounds." "Do you?" "I do." His uncle's voice was quieter now. "I was wrong. Your mama was wrong. We handled it badly, and I'm not going to pretend otherwise. But I also can't pretend I don't need her help right now, because I do, and I'm not too proud to say it." Marcus was quiet for a long moment. "I'm not the one you need to call, Uncle Darnell." "I know that too." "I'll give her your number. The rest is up to her." He told her that night. She listened the way she always listened, fully, without interrupting, her hands wrapped around a mug of tea she wasn't really drinking. When he finished, she was quiet for a moment. "He was one of the ones who didn't want me there," she said. "Not a question." "Yes." She nodded slowly. "What do you think I should do?" "I think it's completely your call. I'll support whatever you decide." She looked down at her mug. "My father always said that how a person treats someone when they have nothing to offer them is who they really are." She paused. "But he also said that holding a grudge is like drinking poison and waiting for the other person to get sick." Marcus smiled a little, despite himself. "Your dad sounds exhausting." She laughed, a real one, sudden and warm. "He really is." She picked up her phone and dialed. They met at a coffee shop near Darnell's office. Neutral ground. Valentina came with her portfolio, Project documentation, engineering reports, photographs from the Columbia Bridge projects, her PE license, her CV. She was professional, composed, and thorough. Darnell arrived with his project manager and was visibly humbled before he even sat down. Within 20 minutes, his project manager had stopped taking notes and was just listening. Within 40, Darnell had offered her a consulting contract. Within the hour, he had also said, stiffly, because it was not easy for him, but genuinely because he meant it, "I owe you an apology that has nothing to do with this contract. I was disrespectful to you and to my nephew, and I'm sorry for it." Valentina looked at him for a moment. "Thank you for saying that," she said. "I accept." She did not say it's fine or don't worry about it, because it hadn't been fine, and she wasn't the kind of woman who said things she didn't mean. But she accepted, and she meant that too. The Henderson family cookout on Labor Day was a different kind of event than the one on the 4th of July. Valentina was there, Marcus was there. Darnell's firm had made it to the final round of the city contract evaluation, a decision that was still pending. The bandeja paisa was Valentina's contribution, made at Linda Henderson's specific and somewhat sheepish request after she'd seen the photos from July. Aunt Carol told Valentina she had gorgeous hair. Uncle Darnell talked to her for a solid hour about a new infrastructure development initiative he was considering. Marcus's younger cousin asked her how long it took to become an engineer. "A long time," Valentina said, "but it's worth it." Linda pulled Marcus aside near the end of the evening. He could tell she'd been working up to it. "She's remarkable," his mother said. "I know," Marcus said. "I should have." "Yeah," he said, "you should have." Another one of those quiet moments between them. But this one was different. This one had something in it, the beginning of something being repaired. "Bring her to Christmas," Linda said. Marcus looked at his mother for a moment, then looked across the yard to where Valentina was laughing at something Darnell had said, completely at ease, entirely herself. "I'll ask her," he said, "but I'm pretty sure she'll say yes." Karma isn't always loud. Sometimes it's a resume. Sometimes it's a phone call. Sometimes it's the quiet moment when someone realizes they almost turned away exactly the person they needed, not just professionally, but personally. The Henderson family got lucky. Not everyone does.